So here's another what I'm learning in the moment. So what I'm learning experientially, and this has to do with um, whether it be, we'll just say financial responsibilities, but which will seem ironic for somebody who is who currently does is dependent on in utilizing a hand up from a social assistance. But during this time of crises, during this time of impoverishment, I've talked extensively about the difference between a season and a state of impoverishment, and I mentioned that, and I correlated that to the difference between like a season of like feeling depressed and a state of depression, and I think that's one of the more um, let's see, the more relatable and understandable illustrations, because it's just how would I word this? It's just more widely known, at least from my perspective and from the conversations I've had. That when you're speaking with folks that are, and we'll just use me, for before I received Jesus, I was in a state of depression. So everything was really gloomy. Everything was real. I would look at the negative side of everything, and if you said, "Oh goodness sake, you know, God's got a plan for you. He's got a future for you," the first thing I would think of is, "Well, you don't know what's happened in my life. You don't know how people have picked on me. You don't know how I've struggled with this and I've struggled with that." So I was always, my state of mind could not think outside of the things that have happened to me, or my current situation. However, since I received Jesus, I realized that, oh no, now my thought life is quite the opposite. Everything is a beautiful and a wonderful opportunity to serve God. There's so much potential in all these moments around us, but you have to be settled. I realize if you're settled, and your heart is full of peace, you're able to see the moment and to see the value in the moment. Sorry, to be present in the moment and see the value in the moment. You're able to see, the spiritual root behind, the patternized behaviors. Once you're able to see the spiritual root, and that root is dealt with, then history will not repeat itself, because there's nothing there to purport that, the repeating of those things. You understand like the power in every single word, the power in every single thought, but also the, like, how we're a summation of everything and every choice, every thought and every choice that we entertained and we made in our past. So then it makes you realize that, oh, there's that much power in every thought and every choice that I think and do or say in this moment, which means there's major potential for wonderful change, because now I have a deeper and a more arcane understanding of, this realm that we're living in. And so anyway, so like all of a sudden I'm appreciative, I'm content. Oh goodness, I'm full of God's joy, His peace, and His love. So now I'm no longer in that state of depression. And then I gave that example of the with the finances. Oh goodness, you could be in a state of impoverishment because you're hemorrhaging money all the time, and you don't realize it because you have like such a stream of finances coming in that you're never in a position where you lack, so that you're never alerted to the reality that you're leaking or hemorrhaging finances. But when you go through a season or a period of impoverishment, and there's very few finances that are coming in, you count every nickel, you count every dime, and then you realize, oh, there's I'm hemorrhaging, or I'm leaking money left and right. So now you need to go and you need to look for all the holes in the pocket. And once those holes in your pocket are sewed up, then you can properly give an account for all the money that's coming in, and then where you're putting your hand in, and then purposefully or intentfully placing that money. So then you went from a state of impoverishment to a season or a period of impoverishment. Things can get better because you fixed the holes um, that were causing you to sink, or causing all the issues at the foundation. That being said, this has been wonderful, and I'm very delighted to have been able to share with you experientially, like, this process, and to show you, like, oh goodness, I've only been to the bank twice now. There's been money in the bank for some time, but because I've learned to and been trained and received that training to be content with what I have, to be resourceful, but to not spend money unless it's on the necessities, and to learn and understand the difference between a want and a need. My financial situation or my spending habits have changed radically or drastically. And you often hear, I remember when I was growing up, I'd hear different, and these would be folks that were around my grandparents' age. They'd always provide advice, and oftentimes I wouldn't heed to the advice, that they're giving. It would just go in one ear and out the other. And now I'm starting to realize, oh, they were speaking a lot of wisdom into our hearts. But back then I wasn't in a position of maturation to receive, that wisdom. But they would always say, it's not how much you make, it's how much you save. And there is so much truth in wisdom to that. And the sooner you can apply it, the better off you're going to be. And, even if you don't learn this lesson until much later on in life, it's always that thing that the moment you apply it, you're going to reap the fruit that lie there within. And so anyways, yesterday, there's a young man that I know. He's got a young family, and he's thinking about moving back to be near his family, and they live, it sounds like a 2.5 hour drive away from here. And yes, I, instead of saying the distance, in kilometers, I stated the distance in the potential hours driven. I don't know why I do that. That is actually weird to me when I catch myself doing that. But anyways, I don't think I'd even know the amount of kilometers, because I've never gauged distance that way in the past. That's just a funny side note. Much like I was just thinking about, I was at my friend's place. Sorry, I'm going to do another tangent here just to put another side note. And my friend and his wife were talking about their favorite elements on the stove. And I was thinking, it's weird, I think we all have a favorite element on the stove. Anyhow, back to the WIL. He sent me a message, and he just said, hey, I just started this new job here, and after I get a month or two in, and understand how much I'm getting paid, and this and that, would you mind coming over and sitting down with me? And he said, I would love to go over finances, and maybe you could help us formulate a plan, so we know the funds that are coming in versus the funds that are going out, and then we can get a budget going, and then so we can actually have crunch some numbers to give ourselves some honest projections of when we could, if the housing market stays the same, when we could potentially move. And I was thinking, oh, I would love to. That is wonderful. And I was just thinking about how this is something that would be wise for everyone to do, is to sit down and to learn financial literacy, to sit down and to actually examine your expenditure. What are the funds? What are the streams of revenue coming in? And what are the expenses going out? How much like discretionary income do you technically have? How much like would you like to allot towards, like your living expenses, but then to your entertainment, and then to this, and then to that. And then once you have those numbers and those percentages, then you can actually actively and aggressively, start to make changes in your with your finances and with your expenditure. And then you can project for different things with, say, different things that you'd like to purchase, different investments, or in this case, like a big move, and you actually have numbers that you can work with. And I find many times, we just get caught up in a flow of where we're working at a certain place. We know how much we're paying like per month, whether we're renting or whether we have a mortgage, but we're not 100% certain where our finances are going. And if you're not 100% certain where your finances are going, there can be a lot of squander that you're not going to realize until, say like a moment of crisis comes up, or a moment of great opportunity for an investment. And then you realize, oh, I could have, would have, should have had this, but I don't have this because I was, financially negligent, and I didn't learn financial literacy. This is just a really wonderful teachable lesson. And this is the WIL that I want to share is, you would think that I'm the last person that anybody would come to to ask for advice in this, but clearly he sees something responsible with me. And although I'm going through a season of impoverishment, that doesn't mean that my financial, or my maturation in terms of my spending habits is low, like at all. The two don't necessarily correlate. And but I want to speak this as hope and encouragement to each and every one of you. It feels really wonderful when you're learning something, and this is something that the Lord has been teaching me. I'm doing this as unto the Lord, so the Lord's been disciplining me. And but I've been doing it just silently and quietly. And then you see how he'll open the eyes of others to see the things that he's doing in your life, and then he'll bring them to you. And then so you get to share the wonderful things that you're learning to others. And it's such there's such a deep gratification to this, and I feel very humbled that he has asked me, and I really delight in helping. And this is something I'll learn too from this situation. Actually, I'll do another WIL for that. We'll keep these all separate. But anyways, yeah, I'm really pleased to share this.